ಜೈ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ವಿಮೋಕ್ಷಾನಂದಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಠ ಮತ್ತು ಮಿಷನ್ನಿನ ಹಿರಿಯ ಸಾಧುಗಳು. ಇವರು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ನಿರ್ವಾಣಾನಂದಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ರವರಿಂದ 1971ರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಂತ್ರದೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ಪಡೆದು 1981ರಲ್ಲಿ ವೀರೇಶ್ವರಾನಂದಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ರವರಿಂದ ಸನ್ಯಾಸ ದೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ಪಡೆದರು. ಹಲವಾರು ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯವರು ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿ, ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಆಂಧ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನ್ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಥಳಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದರು. ನಂತರ 1979ರಿಂದ 1986ರವರೆಗೆ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಿಷನ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಅರುಣಾಚಲ್ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದರು. ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯವರು ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಿಷನ್ನಿನ TB ಸ್ಯಾನಿಟೋರಿಯಂ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಇದೆ ಒಂದು ಉತ್ತರ ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿನ 150 ಬೆಡ್ಗಳ ಒಂದು ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯನ್ನು ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. 2007ರಿಂದ 2014ರವರೆಗೆ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೌತ್ ಆಫ್ರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷತೆಯನ್ನು ವಹಿಸಿ 2015ರಿಂದ 2018ರವರೆಗೆ ಸಿಂಗಾಪುರ್ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಿಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದರು. ಈಗ ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ ಹಿಂದಿರುಗಿ ಬಂದು ತಮಿಳುನಾಡಿನ ಏಲಗಿರಿ ಆಶ್ರಮದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷತೆಯನ್ನು ವಹಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿದ್ಧರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕಳೆದ ವಾರ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯವರು ಮಾತನಾಡಿದಂತಹ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಭಕ್ತರ ಹೃದಯವನ್ನು ಗೆದ್ದಿದೆ. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ನಂತರ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯವರ ನಂಬರ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೇ ಇದ್ದರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯವರನ್ನು ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸ್ವತಃ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಬಂದಿದ್ದರು. ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯವರು ಕೂಡ ತಮ್ಮ ಬ್ಯುಸಿ ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಭಕ್ತರ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದರು. ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಹೃದಯವನ್ನು ಗೆದ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯವರಿಗೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸದ 2ನೇ ಭಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ. ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ. ಜೈ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ.
अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. हरि ओम्. ओम नमो भगवते श्रीरामकृष्णाय. Dear monastic brothers and devotees, last week we started this talk on Vedantic devotion. We actually shared with you some of the thoughts on what is Vedanta and what is devotion. I told you I will continue for the second part next week. That's how we are here today. Welcome to every one of you who have come in person in spite of many inconveniences, and also to those devotees and friends who are listening to me online. It is nice to see many people in the hall. See, generally it is said, just now I was talking to a young boy, and the person who brought that boy was telling he used to attend regularly Harshananji's class. But in that 1 hour, 10 minutes he was awake, and the rest of the time he would go into sleep. I told him, please don't sleep during my talk, otherwise I would go to hell. So I remembered a joke in South Africa. South Africa mainly people are Christians, majority, and they make a lot of funs. So I met one pastor. So he was telling this joke to me. It requires a great courage to make joke on yourself. So the pastor was telling me very interestingly. He said, there was one driver, Joe, a taxi driver, and a pastor, John. He is a driver and another person is a pastor of a church. But then both of them are good friends. So one day, Pastor John came to him and asked Joe, is your taxi going today? He said, yes. He said, okay. So he got into the taxi. And Joe was very, very high speed runner. So he could take his vehicle to the maximum speed on the roads. And there were 12 passengers sitting in the car. And he went such a speed, he hit a tree and had an accident. And all the 12 people and the Pastor John and driver Joe, 14 people died. Now they all went up. And then there Peter was standing on the gate. It's not a heavenly gate is there. So Peter is the person who distributes where to go. You go to hell, you go to heaven, like that he distributes. So Peter was standing there. And one by one people, all the dead people standing there. So one by one was going. So Joe was standing in front of John. So Peter asked Joe, what did you do on the earth? He said, I was a taxi driver. I say, did you kill 14 people including you by an accident? Joe said, yes. I only killed because I was in a high speed. I could not control the vehicle, so I met with an accident. Okay, you go to heaven. God has ordained you should go to heaven. So Joe very, very happy went. Next was John. Now he is a pastor, you see. He gives a lot of sermons in this church, talking about God all the time. So when he came, Peter asked him, what do you do on the earth? He said, I am a pastor. Then he said, which place you are a pastor? Then he told the place, church, etc. I said, okay, you go to hell. The pastor was stunned. How is it that driver Joe who killed people, he went to heaven and I speaking only about God and I am sent to hell? How is it? Please explain to me. So he asked Peter. So Peter told him, you see, when on earth, what you do is important for God to decide. When Joe used to drive the vehicle in breakneck speed, the people, passengers who were sitting there, they would as if hold their heart in their hands and were thinking of God. But as a pastor, when you were giving sermons, people were all sleeping. So you did not make the people think of God. But Joe did make the people think of God. So he deserves to go to heaven and you deserve to go to hell. That's why I told the boy, please don't sleep here, otherwise I would go to hell. So this is how we see that in many of the lectures we sit here. One senior Swami I met today morning, he is here only, he is slowly now arriving. Swami Vedantic Maharaj, revered Maharaj I was with him in Ranchi also. The Swamiji was telling, in one of our centers in Calcutta, a beautiful hall, and that hall was well air conditioned. He says that 80% of the people who would come there would take rest and sleep, because comfortable during the summer, you see. So, like that if you are there, then nothing can go inside our brain. So what we do is, to remove the sleep, we have to add some stories, we have to say some jokes, etc., just to divert the mind. But then, this talk on Vedantic devotion is really interesting for me. Once in a Hollywood Center, I spoke on this theme. Of course, the theme is same, but different talk that was. If you are interested, you can go to YouTube and hear that also. So today I want to tell you that we have been thinking about this Vedantic Bhakti. So in Vedanta, as I pointed out last week, that Swami Vivekananda, in his famous lecture given in Lahore on 12th November 1897, he spoke on this subject, the Vedanta. That is the topic. So he spoke very clearly. In Ireland, recently we studied that lecture for our devotees. Paragraph by paragraph we used to study and then we used to explain and then discuss. So that lecture I still remember. There Swami Vivekananda clearly says Vedanta does not exclude any type of methods of worship. That means from the highest worship of Atman to the lowest worship of a stone or a grass, all methods of worship are brought under Vedanta. If you say philosophically what is Vedanta, then all types of philosophy that you can think of can be included in one label, Vedanta. So it is a misunderstanding among the Hindus. He uses the word misunderstanding. We Hindus have misunderstood this term Vedanta as pertaining only to Advaita. So Vivekananda, being himself an Advaitin, acclaimed Advaitin as people say, but he himself says Vedanta does not mean Advaita alone. It includes all systems of philosophy. Everything comes under Vedanta. Though literally you know that Vedas Anta. So it is Vedanta means the Anta, that is the last portion of the Vedas. So what was the last portion of each Veda? Each Veda's last portion was Upanishad. So Upanishad is called Vedanta. So have you studied Vedanta? That means when people ask you, if you say yes, that means you have studied Upanishads. That was the literal meaning of the word Vedanta. But then in the thought process also, the identification of one self, that is Jivatma, with the Supreme Self, that is the Paramatma, that also is spoken of much in Upanishads, and that's why in the thought process also under the evolution, it is the last or final stage of enlightenment. So in that case also, it is the Ant, that is the last portion of the Vedas, means knowledge. So last portion of the knowledge. In that sense also, the Vedanta is used. But here, Swamiji gives us a clear-cut explanation of the term Vedanta, and he says that Vedanta has got 3 types of books which are to be commented upon by any philosopher. Whether it is Adi Shankara, whether it is Ramanujacharya, or it is Madhvacharya, or Vallabha, or anybody, even Chaitanya Deva. They all have to, even if they don't write commentary, but they have to speak on these 3. So one is Upanishads, another is Brahma Sutra, another is Bhagavad Gita. These 3 scriptures, you can take either one, or you can add 2, or you can have all the 3. So you can see that people have to depend for their experience some type of literary or scriptural validity, which is like a law. And that scriptural validity is coming from these 3 types of scriptures: Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, and Bhagavad Gita. So people would accept, then only your philosophy will be accepted. If you do not base on any of these 3 categories, then your philosophy will not be accepted. That was the situation in India. And now, of course, there are many people claiming their own philosophy, etc. But only it is for the public who follows must find out whether does it tally with Bhagavad Gita or with Brahma Sutra or with the Upanishads. If it doesn't tally and he says something new or something very peculiar which is not tallying with these scriptures, then you cannot accept it, because that is something created by his own mind which is not valid. For validity also you require a law, and that law is these 3 scriptures. But in these 3 scriptures, Swamiji interprets as containing or enclosing all types of ideas. So there is nothing to be excluded. Every type of idea can be traced into these. If anybody can trace, even if a new idea, if you can trace it to any of these, it can be accepted. So no philosophy is excluded. So whether it is Dvaita or Visishtadvaita or Advaita, all the philosophies come within the range of Vedanta. So the Vedanta word is a very huge and widely interpreted term. Once you accept that, then it becomes easy to understand the devotional practices. Devotional practices are brought under the one particular yoga is called Bhakti Yoga. Generally, we all practice Bhakti Yoga, is it not? That's why we come to the ashram. We sit in the shrine. We look at Sri Ramakrishna's image there. And then we close our eyes, think of him inside as if residing. And then we do our prayers. We do our chanting. We do our scriptural reading, etc., etc. All types of, and then japa, dhyana also we do. So when you do all types of scriptural, or I should say sadhanas, then what happens? Spiritual practices, then these are all come under Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga can be either independent or it can be combined with Karma Yoga, it can be combined with Jnana Yoga, it can be combined with Raja Yoga. So any type of these 4 yogas can be combined. And Swami Vivekananda says, if you want to put yourself in the mold of Sri Ramakrishna, what you should do? You should develop yourself with a harmoniously blend of the 4 yogas. He is very clear about that. If you want to place your mold on somebody else, then get the mold according to that. But if you want to place yourself in the mold of Ramakrishna, then there must be a harmonious blend of the 4 yogas. If that is lacking, that's why in our retreats and Bhakta Sammelan, etc., you will find how we devise the program. The program is devised in such a way, not one yoga becomes predominant. All the 4 yogas, opportunities are there. You study, you understand the scripture, so Jnana Yoga is followed. You sit for meditation and do japa, then Raja Yoga is followed. And you do Kainkarya, all the types of Karma Yoga is followed. And then you pray, you attend the bhajans, and you attend the puja, etc. Bhakti Yoga is followed. So all the 4 yogas are combined in our Bhakta Sammelan or the retreats, Antar Yogam as we call it. It's a very beautiful term. First it was introduced by Swami Chidbhavanandaji Maharaj, whom I was my favorite Swami in my childhood days. First I was introduced to Bhagavad Gita by his book only, by reading his book. So very excellent Swami, I met him also. So wonderful Swami he was, Swami Chidbhavanandaji. He's written Bhagavad Gita is even now is sold in hundreds of copies. In wherever I took Gita classes, I took that book only as a text, because that book contains not only transliteration of the Sanskrit mantra, but also word by word meaning is given, and then a running translation is given. And Swami Chidbhavanandaji did not stop there. He went further. After giving a small commentary, he quoted relevant teaching of Sri Ramakrishna also from there. So every shloka, when you go through it, you'll find some relevance of Ramakrishna's teaching also is brought into that. So it's a great book, and he was a great Swami also. So you find that all the 4 yogas need to be put together, and he gave the term Antar Yogam. Very beautiful. Antar Yoga means a yoga that you are going to practice in your inside. Antar, inside. So this question is asked in the Upanishads and in Suktas. Suktas come also under the Vedas. So they ask, where is Narayana? Even a young boy who is studying in our Vivekananda Balak Sangha, he would tell you, Narayana lives in Vaikuntha. So you ask that boy, where Lord Shiva stays? He will say, Lord Shiva stays in Kailasha. Where does Brahma stay? He stays in a loka called Brahma Loka. So all these things we know. We can say from the knowledge of the Puranas, because we have been trained in Puranic stories from our elder people in the family. Did not our grandmothers used to tell Puranic stories in our homes? We have heard many things. And then Katha Kalakshepa. In Tamil Nadu, I used to go to hear one Katha Kalakshepa master. His name was Kripananda Warrior. So in Tamil he used to speak. And as a young boy, I used to go and sit. Many things I learned from him, which even today I cannot forget. At the young age, impressionable age, you come to know. That is a very beautiful way of learning our great, grand, the culture. We pick up the culture from young childhood days. So you ask, where is Narayana? Narayana is where? He is in Vaikuntha. Does he remain only in Vaikuntha? Or does he remain other places also? So the Narayana Suktam says, yes, he may remain Vaikuntha. No question about that or no controversy about that. We are not going to fight on that point. But then the Upanishad teachers, that the sages, they say something more to it is there. What is that something more? That more is Yacha Kinchit Jagat Sarvam Drishyate Sruyate Piva. What a beautifully it says. Drishyate, whatever I see in this Jagat Sarvam, Sarvam Jagat, the entire Prapancha, I see so many things. And Drishyate, many things I do not see, but I hear. I learn. If you tell me about Belgium country, I have not seen Belgium, but I hear. So I come to know, yes, Belgium is there. If you tell me Banaras, I know, I have not seen Banaras, but I know from hearing from you, I say that yes, there is Banaras. Likewise, we go on Drishyate. We ourselves see by our eyes. And Shruyate Piva, also by listening. So Yacha Kinchit Jagasara, whatever. Yacha means whatever. Then he says, Antar Bahischa. Tat means, Yat he said in the previous line. Yat means whatever. Tat means that ever. That, whatever you heard and you saw. Whatever you heard and saw, or you saw and heard, that is Tat Sarvam. Everything. Vyapta Narayana. So he says that Tat Sarvam Vyapta Narayana. So Narayana is Vyapta. That's why Vishnu, when we went to Alsur, so I asked our Rudra Maharaj who was with me, in the Alsur temple when you enter, on the wall, here Shankha is there and Chakra is there. So I just commented, I just quipped, you see Vaishnava designs are there. I said, these are all Vaishnava designs, Then he said immediately, Maharaj, Vishnu should not be interpreted in a narrow manner. Then he told me, Vishnu is Vyaptatvat Vishnu. Is it not? What is Vishnu? Who is Vishnu? Vyaptatvat. He is pervading everywhere. That's why he is called Vishnu. So he told me, this is very good idea, Then I told him, this Narayana Suktam, what beautifully he says, Yacha Kinchit Jagat Sarvam Drishyate Sruyate Piva. Antar Bahischa. Antar inside, Bahischa outside. Tat Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Stitaha. Narayana Stitaha, he stays. He may be staying in Vaikuntha, okay. No problem with that, in accepting that. That is a Puranic lore. But philosophically, he stays everywhere because he is Vyaptam. What a beautiful concept of God. In the same way, we think that God is only at one place. He is at the temple only. So Swamiji came to tell us, no, God is everywhere. Does your sadhana is inclusive only of Bhakti Yoga or only Dhyana Yoga? In our training center, many brahmacharis come from different states of India, you see, in Belur Math. We stay there. During my time, 2 brahmacharis came from one state. They said that we follow only Jnana Marga. We don't want to follow Karma Marga or Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Now that's a very tough thing. If you want to mold yourself in Sri Ramakrishna's likehood, then I told you, you have to be a harmonious blend of 4 yogas must be there. If that is not there, then you cannot mold in Ramakrishna's pattern. So they had to leave. After 6 months they left. And they went away. Okay, that may be their path. Nobody questions that. And nobody differs from that. Each one can have one path. But in Bhakti Yoga, when you come to ashram, if it is devoid of Karma Yoga, then what happens? It becomes one-sided, which Swamiji did not want from us. He wanted our well-balanced structure of a personality that we should grow in. So we should be Karma Yogi at this moment. Swamiji's lecture to the new monks, when they came in front of him in Belur Math, the lecture is there in the complete words of Swami Vivekananda. You please read that, what he says to the monks. This moment, you should be able to plow the land. Next moment, you should be able to sit in the temple and meditate. What a wonderful idea. Every monk should be of that type. You say, immediately you change. That's why if somebody asked Swami Vivekananda, what is rest? He said, rest is change of work. There is no separate rest. No, I want to take rest. I want to spend some 15 minutes sitting there. No, you change your work. That itself is a rest. You will find it how beautifully it is coming. So, this idea that God is present everywhere must be percolating into the society. And as a member of the society, we must be able to try to see Lord everywhere. Otherwise, merely doing huge religious, paraphernalia of puja, etc., that is not going to satisfy the Lord Himself. So, just today, I opened Bhagavatam and I saw a sloka came to me immediately. I just, swiped and in my books it came. And very beautiful sloka it is, 24, book 3. Aham uchavacher dravyahi. Sri Krishna says, anaghe, he says, calling a person sinless. Anagha means sinless. Said, oh sinless person, anaghe is telling a lady, mother, and is telling, uchavachairhi dravyahi, lots and lots of varieties of dravyahi. Puja dravyam, as we call it. Puja samagri, we call it. So all types of puja varieties, rituals you are making. But then the puja is accomplished. He says, but then he says, aham naiva tushye. I am not satisfied. When you are interested in puja doing, suddenly if Lord comes and says, I am not happy with your puja, how you will feel that? I have brought so many things, so much of money I have spent. One lady was telling, Swamiji, I would like to do a particular havan. Whatever money is required, I will pay. So you can purchase all the samagri. Okay, everything you can bring. Will the Lord be satisfied with you if you don't have bhakti to Him? So merely paraphernalia of puja is not going to satisfy Him. How do you know that it doesn't satisfy the Lord? Because Lord Himself says in Bhagavatam, He says, Naham tushye, I am not satisfied. Tushya means santushti, that means happiness or satisfaction. He says, I am not satisfied. Why I am not satisfied? Just because you are giving lots and lots of items to me. Though he told in Gita, Patram pushpam phalam toyam, yo me bhaktya prayachiti. Whoever gives me bhaktya with devotion, patram pushpam phalam toyam. Anything, any one of this. I am, with love I accept it. He says in Gita. But here also he says, you see, Naham tushye, archito architam. He says, you do lots of puja to different types of deities. You have, archita means murtis, different types of murtis you have. And then you clean the murtis in some people's shrine, house shrine. The whole shrine is like a big almirah and so many murtis are kept. Of course the ladies tell me, Maharaj, what to do? Anybody going to Kedarnath, they'll bring something and give it to us. You can't throw it, so we have to keep it there. So like that, the whole almirah is filled with murtis and murtis and murtis. So I used to ask him smilingly, how do you get time to clean everything? It's very difficult to clean also. So you can have hundreds of murtis, you can clean them and you can worship them. But Krishna says, Naham tushe. What a terrible thing is this, to hear from him. Then he says, Bhuta Gramam Avamaninaha. Why I am not happy with your puja, with that grand paraphernalia of puja? Because you are not respecting the Bhuta Gramam, the souls. The Bhuta means the beings, all the jivas. Gramam is a very beautiful word. Grama, we know Grama means village. Literally we translate it as a village. But Grama is a word in Sanskrit. It can be used for any types of clusters. If you have a cluster of people living in a particular place, you call it Grama. Suppose you speak about a cluster of 10 sense organs. You can call it Indriya Gramam. In Gita this word is used. Indriya Gramam. Like that the Gramam can be used with any type of clusters. So he says, Bhuta Gramam Avamaninaha. Avamana means disrespect. You don't give respect to the individual. Why you don't give respect to the individual? Because you don't have the idea that within that individual there is God who is living. Bhuta Grama, all the individuals, not only humans, these Bhuta beings include all types of Jivatmas, including an ant. So I used to make fun in South Africa when people would ask, Swamiji, a mosquito comes and sits here. By killing it, am I doing a sin? I would say, yes. Then, it is not a sin, they would argue with me, because it is biting me. Okay, it is biting because you allowed it to sit. You can just wave your hand, it will go away. Can you not protect that mosquito by waving your hand and sending it outside? Suppose it comes and bites you because you are open. Why don't you put a mosquito net and sleep? So you are not able to kill any mosquito and you are also protected. Even jivas are like that. An ant. How we people walk on the roads unknowingly. We kill everything. So many insects we kill. Unknowingly. Because unknowingly I have done, ignorance is not an excuse in law, as they say. Because you do not know, the law is not going to excuse you. The law of karma is going to act on you. And that's why we are suffering so many times, so many types of sufferings which we don't understand. Why this suffering has come to me? Not knowing the reason. Because we have been doing so many things unknowingly. So we are doing certain things. This law of karma is a wonderful subject, It comes, whatever you do, and it comes to you back. So this simple principle is not only enough to understand the law of karma. Law of karma, if you go deeper and deeper, it goes into such highest way of explanation. Many of the questions in the world can be answered by the law of karma theory. Many questions. Some people, there is a beautiful book written by Gina Sarminara. She is a veterinary lady. She was assistant, a nurse to a doctor. And the doctor, when he found that he could not treat people with allopathy medicines, then he entered into hypnotic treatment. So this doctor, when he does hypnotize a patient, so he would ask, okay, no medicine has worked on you. And he would ask the patient, go back 5 years back, 10 years back, 15 years back. Like that he would ask and get the message from that patient. And the patient is in a hypnotic state, but the patient can talk and hear. So the doctor is asking questions and the patient is answering, he would record. And once the hypnotism is over, he would play back that record, what the patient was talking during the hypnotic state. And you can crack the problem. So, many diseases which cannot be cured, long diseases, which cannot be cured by any medicine, in hypnotic way he could cure, because the patient understands what he did in the past. Because he himself stays. Because nothing is forgotten. You say, I have forgotten, but nothing is forgotten. All the thoughts, vritti, chitta vritti, as they are called, are all lying or going into subconscious. From there they go into unconscious levels. Only thing you are forgetting means what? You are unable to retrieve the data to your forefront of your thought. That is it. That is what you say forgotten. But then nothing is demolished, nothing is destroyed. All thoughts are with you. Of Janma Janmantara thoughts are there. 10 Janmas before, what you thought, what you did, all those vrittis are there. They all will come up when the ripe time comes up. Otherwise they will be sitting there under the unconscious level. So Swami Vivekananda gives very beautifully the mind he develops. He says, mind can be divided into 3 levels of parts. So the first level, say this glass is there, I am taking the glass, the first level, say 5% of the glass is called conscious level. And 5%, from there you come down, out of 95%, say 10%. That is subconscious level. And the rest are unconscious level. But then, I am only for making intellectually understandable, I am telling 5%, 10%, rest I am telling. But the rest, Swami Vivekananda says, there is no bottom in the glass. It is a bottomless pit, he says. In Raja Yoga, very beautifully explains. The mind is like a bottomless pit. So there is no bottom. Then where it has gone, how many percentage you will say, you do not know. If you have taken 100 birds in different bodies, that's why I feel very unhappy, to kill any jantu, any things. If you want to kill even a serpent, in Ranchi we had good serpents and they all used to come and they before eyes, and then I would not allow them to be killed. I said, send them. If you catch it, send them to the jungle. Let them stay there. Why you want to kill that? Because in that body, once I was there. Were I not? Yes. That's how the evolution has come. Buddha's Jataka tales, you may remember. Lord Buddha sitting in the meditation, he remembered of his 500 births. And each birth story he knew. And he was telling to his disciple Ananda, one by one story. The 500 stories are documented. They are in book form. They are called Jataka tales. You can download from internet and read it. Somewhere, some birth, he was a king of lions. In some birth, he was a cobra. In some birth, he was a butterfly. All those bodies we have been. That's how the evolution has come. So, how do you dare to kill another body? Will you kill a human? You won't kill. Because human body is you are living now. So the other bodies also, I was once upon a time. So, this understanding that how we are our evolution is taking place, in that case, you will have love for each jiva in any type of body. Some people tell me, so once I went to a zoo with devotees, and all the Ranchi devotees were there with me, and I am showing them. You see, the devotees many are from tribal areas. So the tribal work, I took great interest in tribal work. So I called these tribals and took them by bus. And when I was showing them in that zoo, and the snake division came, some ladies, they said, no, we won't come there. I said, no snake is going to bite you. It is all inside the glass case. But you see at least how many varieties of snakes are there. Even to see snakes, they felt a type of hatred. I could understand that. Because that body, the snake body is full, they cannot accept it. So you find that some people are afraid of cockroaches, is it not? Cockroach body is to be hated. That is how they are taught. No, that is also a body. A jiva stays in that, mind you, and it is waiting for its evolution. That's all. I have got evolution and come to human body because of the great, great blessings. Human body is not obtained so easily. Even Adi Shankara accepts this. To get a human body, you have got a lot of tapasya you have done. And that's how you get. I have seen in some houses, they keep pets. So in one house I went, that lady had 3 dogs. And when she does puja to Lord Shiva, the 3 dogs would come and sit next to her. As if they are also joining the puja, And when she makes pranams, they just copy her. They also do pranam. Now these dogs are doing great work, And by this, they get evolution, further evolution. So they will be born in the next birth, perhaps as a cow. Cow is revered by SVC. And after cow, you become a human. Of course, in the evolution process, whatever our evolution theory says. Now, these jivas, different types of jivas in different bodies should not be hated upon. They are to be given love. If you cannot give love, at least go from that place. But don't hate. This hatred, the avamaninaha, that is the word Sri Krishna uses in Bhagavatam. Bhuta gramam avamaninaha. Avamana means you are disgracing, you are dishonoring. That should not be done. So never criticize. Yeah, I went to a school where they were having a cultural show. And I was aghast, I was surprised to see one of the items is by the children only. The children only enacting a small sketch. What was that enaction? The drama portion is a blind lady and a lady who doesn't hear and a lady who cannot talk. These 3 ladies come together and how they behave among themselves. So the children are enacting, but they are caricaturing. And the audience was laughing in mirth. I was pained, Afterwards I called the principal and told, I don't approve of this type of, making caricature of a physical disability. That's why you don't even use the term blind, deaf, etc. You don't use. You say physically challenged, visually challenged. That type of terms we use to bring dignity to those people who are disabled. Because the body is that. Whatever for karma, previous karma, you have got that body, it cannot be hated upon. Once you hate a body, what you do, unknowingly, you hate the Lord who is within that. Is it proper for you to hate the Lord within? If you hate the Lord within, then whom you are going to love? And the same God is within you. How wonderful it is. Imagine the Lord is within me. You all, our devotees, you know our Arati prayer song, which was written by Swami Vivekananda himself. At the end portion of the Arati song, he says very beautifully, that Namo Namo Prabhu Vakya Manatita Manovachanai ka dhar Jyotira Jyoti. And then he says Hridi Kandara. Hridi Kandara. Hridi means that our heart. Kandara means cave. In my cave of my heart, what is there? Tamas is there. So, Tumi Tama Bhanjana Har. He says, O Lord Ramakrishna, you are the person who removes the tamas. Tamas means the darkness. Darkness from where? From my heart. What is my heart? My heart is a cave. That cave is full of darkness. So the darkness has to be removed. So Jyotira Jyoti. You are Jyoti of the Jyotis. That's why the 5 elements, primary elements of our prapancha, creation, is used in the Arati. First you wave with light, that is Agni, that is your primary element. And then you use water with the Shankha, and that is water. And after water, you use space, because you take the cloth and you wipe. And the space is used, because cloth, you see, if you can take a cloth and see under this Varpan woof, you can see the space. That's why cloth is representing the space. It has as if caught the space inside the two linens. Two threads are there crossing each other, and you find a space is there. So this is representing the space. And then you take the flower. Flower has got such wonderful fragrance. It represents the bhumi, the earth. Earth is fragrant. Earth fragrance, you all know, in the summertime when the first showers come, and if you are in a village, on the mati, that such a beautiful smell comes from the earth. Earth itself is fragrant. And then you do wind. Wind is what? The chamar. You take the chamar and face. So all the 5 primary elements are used in the arati outside. The deity is outside. You are using the 5 primary elements as a sample of worshipping the prapancha. The 5 elements constitute the prapancha. That is why the word prapancha. Pancha means 5. The whole world is the universe. The word, beautiful word, is the Sanskrit. It is called prapancha. What is prapancha? We translate it as a universe. This pancha, see, in Sanskrit, every word has got a root. If you go into the root, you can see how beautiful it is. So this pancha word is there. This pancha means 5. 5, it represents the 5 elements. Prapancha means prakrishta rupena. So in most physical form, the pancha, the 5 elements, it is manifested as gross elements. So we see the fire, it's a gross. So it's called prapancha. This prapancha consists of all the 5 elements only. There is nothing but 5 elements, combinations of 5 elements. But at different combinations, that's all. And these 5 elements are outside, so I use it during arati time. And when everything is over, then I sit and I then pray, oh God, Lord, you come into my heart, because you are in my heart, and it's all dark because of ajnana, which is called andhakar. So you remove that. That is what you pray. So Lord is antar bahischa. This principle is brought out in arati. So when you sit in the temple and attend the arati and look at that, there's a beautiful, this arati, I love arati because not only I love to perform this, and I love to sing and stay and look at that also. During arati, I don't close my eyes. You don't need to. In our traditional temples, Ganesha temple, Hanuman temple, Ram's temple, if you go, they say when the arati is shown, don't close your eyes. First look at outside. And when the arati is over, then close your eyes and bring that. Because the arati time, when you see the image will be, it is at an attraction. And it will come and sit in your heart because you are inviting. So arati time, I used to look at that. Why? Because each element, primary element, is being offered to Master. And when you offer to him, and then you send it everything to the inside, and then he clears it. So in that way you find that how wonderfully this arati song is there. I want to tell you the background of this arati is very interesting. In Scotland lecture, I was telling this, some of the devotees actually wept when they heard this. This arati song, this arati method that we use, in any temple you go, the same methods are used. These 5 elements are offered. There is a story behind that. Particularly, this arati system is developed by Vaishnava Acharyas. Vaishnava Acharyas are very great, I tell you. My salute to them. because they have developed many things in our practical spiritual life, in our spiritual sadhanas, many things they have developed which are unique to Vaishnavism. So I was seeing that how the Vaishnava Acharyas have developed this story. So the story goes like this. This Ma Yashoda, she is rearing up Lord Krishna. Krishna is a small boy, say about 10 years old. Now along with the other boys of the Vrindavan village, he also goes, taking the cows of his house. Yashoda also has got some cows, and the neighbor also has got some house. Like that, every neighbors, all the people in the village has got cows. So all the boys, the Gopas, Krishna also is a Gopa, Gopala, his name is. So everybody goes. So when they go, and what they do, Krishna also goes with them. They go in the morning, and Yashoda gives tiffin case for that to Krishna, and he carries, and then he takes it. And they have children, they play there, and the cows graze, and then they come back. Goduli time, it's called Goduli. That means when cows return in that dusty villages, that dhul, the dhul means dust comes up. That is the time when they return. At what time they return? When the sun sets. So it's called Goduli time. Very beautiful term. So that Goduli time when they're returning, Yashoda is worried. My son Gopala has not yet come. When is he coming? So she is doing some work in the house, household work, but then she leaves it, she runs to the outside gate and looks at, is my son coming? Because every cow has got a bell. And the bell sound itself, they will understand, the owner will understand, it's my cow. Because different types of bells are used, you see. So from the sound one can understand. She says, she thinks, oh, this cow is not mine. That means Gopala is not there. And it is dusk time. All the boys, some boys are very fair complexion, some boys are dark complexion like Krishna. And if you are already dark and so much of dust on your body, you cannot even be recognized. Is my son or her son? So all sons seem to be like the same age group. So all seem to be same. So they are coming. She runs. 1 time, 2 times, 5 times she has run. She is not getting Gopala. Then she is worried. Why my Krishna is not coming? Why my Krishna is coming? Not coming. And then finally, Krishna comes in the last. When Krishna comes into the home, the cows goes into its place. They know where to go. And Krishna is standing there. Yashoda says, stop, stand here. She wants to confirm whether this Krishna is my Krishna or somebody else's son is standing there. Because she put him, held him and made him stand. So she said, wait. She brings a light. That is, that Arati we use the light, Panchapradip. She brought a Panchapradip. And then she said, let me see. First on the feet. Is it my child's feet? And then she raises that lamp to his chest. And then she looks at his face. Now, from head to foot, he is fully covered with mud. Because he was playing in the mud, So he was covered. And then she says, my son, she could understand my son Krishna has come. Now, this dirty son cannot be brought inside, inside the mahal. So she tells her servants. So the servant maids bring lot of warm water. She takes the bucket and then she pours water on him and cleans the mud. And once when he was cleaned nicely, she is so happy to see her old Krishna is still there. Though he is dark complexion, but he is now bereft of all the dust. So she is very happy. She takes a towel, dries him up. When a child, because all the mothers know how to bathe the child. Of course, the fathers may not know. They have not even seen that. But most of the mothers, they know. So when you bathe the child, what you do? Once you bathe the child, you take the dry towel and then you dry the child's body. That is what she did. And then she put a very nice, fragrant flower mala garland on his chest. And then she says, now Krishna, now walk. Come with me. She took a fan and she's fanning him. These are the 5 elements that we use in this story. The Vaishnava Acharyas have given this story so beautifully. All the 5 elements are there or not, you can think. When Krishna came, she took the light to see. That was the Agni. And secondly, she put water to clean him, and that was water element. And then she took cloth to dry him up. Cloth is, as I told you, space. And then she took garland and put him fragrance, because body is fragrance. After bath, many people put scents. Nowadays they put scent. So she also put garland, and that gives fragrance. And that is representing earth. And then she fanned him. My son has come so tired after doing this grazing of the cows. Let him sit and be nice. So she nicely fanning him. So all the 5 elements are there in the arati. So when we see arati, what we imagine, we look at Sri Ramakrishna, and I imagine that Sri Ramakrishna is before me like a small baby. As Krishna, he went to Yashoda. Now I am taking the role model of Yashoda. I am the mother, and I am using the 5 elements and cleaning him, bathing him with water, and giving him mala, etc., and making him wonderful. In that way, I see that arati. How wonderful this arati system is, you see. This has been developed by the Vaishnava Acharyas and then adopted universally among all the sections of Hindus. We all Hindus, and some aratis, of course, short arati. Short arati is done only with Agni. Because the 5 elements we must maintain, these 5 elements are the primary elements. Akashad Vayu, Vayor Agnihi, Agner Apaha, Apah Prithvi, Prithviyam Moshade, etc. From Prithvi, so many things came up. So, how these things came up, if you trace back, then you go back one after another, finally you come into Akasha. Akasha comes from the Mahat, and from the Mahat comes from Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha comes from the Ishvara. And Ishvara is nothing but the personal God, the Saguna and Sakar Brahman of Brahman. So from Brahman comes everything. So Brahman is the highest level of God realization. You can realize him in any level. Though we don't call it lower levels, because in God there is no lower level or higher level. As Sri Ramakrishna says, you take the sugar cane, you bite anywhere, it will be sweet. So God is always sweet in any type of level you imagine. But everything can be imagined under this Vedantic devotion. So this point, if you can make it clear in our idea, we will not hate anybody, we will love everyone, and we will not also say, your method is wrong, my method is, my watch is correct. Sri Ramakrishna used to make fun. People say, my watch is correct, not knowing that others also have watches. So don't fight on principles. Okay, you be yourself, I be myself. In that way, we can have peace to the society. That's how our society was growing up. That's why we had such peace. Our culture could grow, our architecture could grow. I was reading one PDF book came to me. I was seeing that in computer, the architectural beauties of Karnataka temples. It's mind-blowing, I have to tell you. Some of the temples that have been constructed, how they could do? If they were fighting, do you think they could construct a temple like that? Nothing you can do. Unless the society is peaceful. For keeping the peace of the society, this love for every being is a must. And that came to us through religion, the spirituality. That's how our country grew up in every field, whether it is literature or architecture or in anything, any field you see. A few centuries back, our nation was highest. And outside the country, the other people, other kings were jealous of us. And they came in hordes of armies to take our gold, to take our culture. But nothing has stopped us. We are still moving on because we stand on spirituality. Spirituality accepts the whole world. Sarve janaha sukhinas santu. This prayer you won't find anywhere. Everybody should be happy. That's how the Vedantic devotion has to be practiced. So I'm so happy I'm thankful today. Nityasanji Maharaj is not here, but last week itself I thanked him for arranging this beautiful opportunity for me to meet all of you and to share some of my thoughts. And I am posted now by headquarters as the head of Yelagiri Center. Yelagiri is very near with 3 hours drive, as I understand. I have not yet visited. First time I am going there. So the Swami who is in charge of that Yelagiri ashram is Swami Bhavarupananji. He is sitting here in front of me, and he is going to hand over to me on 1st May. Why I am telling this is my personal invitation to every one of you. If you get time and you get opportunity, please visit Yelagiri Hills. It will be a wonderful place to have some type of retreat. Whenever even one person comes, we will have some small retreat, 1 hour retreat for him. So that way we can get benefited of the opportunity that has been created by Bhavarupananji. He has built, by the grace of Holy Mother, he has built a beautiful ashram there. It's a beautiful shrine and a monk's retreat center. So whenever you come, the retreat, that word is very well known. So you all can have retreats also there. That is what my request to all of you. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
As I was hearing Maharaj giving his talk, I just remember one statement of revered Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj. In one of his lecture, he used to say, as we go to the temple to worship the Lord, taking fruits and flowers to offer it at the feet of Lord. In the same way, a doctor has to go to a hospital taking a paracetamol, syringes, IV, etc., in the form of worshipping the Lord in the hospital as an offering, not as treating a patient. Maharaj, in one of his lectures, he quoted, I just remember, when Maharaj was saying, love all, extending the ritualistic worship, seeing Lord everywhere. And at the concluding, as a concluding mark, Maharaj took that example of Vaishnava worship of Panchabhuta that we offer every day during Arati, Akasha, Vayu, Prithvi. So, it is an extension of worshipping Lord everywhere, and we are very, very happy to hear 2 lectures of Maharaj on Vedantic devotion. Not only that, actually Maharaj came in the first week of April here. Before going to Yelagiri, he has come from Belur Math. He has been transferred from Ireland to India. So on the way to Yelagiri, he stopped here for almost 3 weeks, I suppose. And we are fortunate enough to have his satsanga for 3 weeks, we monks and few devotees, I think. And we are happy to have Maharaj have his satsanga for 3 weeks. And tomorrow he is leaving after food for all his gracious presence for 3 weeks and delivering these 2 wonderful talk on Vedantic devotion for the devotees of Ramakrishna Math and also monks of our Math. We are very fortunate, and I thank revered Swami Vimokshanandaji Maharaj on behalf of all the devotees and monastic members of Ramakrishna Math Bangalore. I thank at the bottom of my heart and also offer my humble pranams to you, Maharaj. Thank you. Priyatam Pundarikakshah Sarvayajneshwaro Harihi Tasmin Stushte Jagat Tushtam Prenite Prenitam Jagat Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.